Here we are.
You asked for it. You got it. It is time.
The sun's still out, which means Keller's still awake. So here we are.
No,
any other time. If
he doesn't have. He doesn't have work in the morning.
If we don't do it before 5 o'clock, he gets upset. But
yeah, wake up at 4:30 in the morning, jackass.
Yeah, I wouldn't like that either. To be fair, I wake up at like 5:30. But
sleep's overrated.
An hour later than I do.
And he pulls it off every week.
Yeah.
What's your excuse?
Yeah, Keller.
Jake's half my age.
I don't know about half. Maybe almost, but
I mean, you're not that old. You don't look a day over 55.
Damn it.
It's just going to be a freaking roast of an episode
pretty
much the entire time. But here we are. This is episode 222 of THP. We're live. This episode and all others are brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. Use the code THN25 at checkout. Save a little bit on shipping. Choose the pickup option. Don't have to worry about FedEx or UPS or any of that. You can just jet on up to the Black Box and grab it yourself and enjoy it for a lifetime. And then FullViewsApparel.com. Spring sale. Tomorrow it ends. Tomorrow night. 15% off automatically at checkout. Get on it. There we go. Keller's got the Serrata 4 shirt. Jake's wearing the Baroni shirt. Baroni, Jesus. I'm not actually wearing one of mine. I'm wearing one of my work shirts. So I'm out of the loop. There he is. Jake. Let's see the Baroni shirt there, guy.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to run off. I forgot my Zin. And I know I'm going to need about 12 tonight listening to Keller talk. So I had to grab those.
Well, I got the long cigar. Long smoke.
That's right.
I got the good one. I don't bust out. I grabbed a Liga. Ligas are a special occasion cigar. So Keller, consider yourself special.
Oh, he's special. All right.
Forewarning, we love Keller very much. So if we seem mean to each other, that's how we show affection. That's our
specifically. That's how Keller shows affection.
Yes.
So we just kind of have to throw it back, or else we're a bunch of pussies. So,
well, Full Views Apparel, Black Box Cages, Steve Snaketuary, and his Venom Hot Sauce. Get the whole set. And SteveSnaketuary.com. Get one, get them all. Help Steve out. He does a lot of public education. He's stupid busy with taking in a lot of relinquished pets and things like that, and getting them on the up and up homes and all that good stuff. So Keller's, I think, stuck in time like 5 minutes ago. Look at him, he's frozen. He looks like one of the orc things from Lord of the Rings. I feel bad because he can't even
we can't even insult him right because he's lagging. Keller, are you alive?
Marco.
I can hear you now.
Oh, that was delayed as shit.
We're gonna get halfway to the episode. He's going, hello.
Can y'all hear me right now?
Yes.
Y'all are delayed behind me too.
Smitty's just being an asshole right now. Oh my god. Are we delayed too on your end?
Marco. Oh damn. One Mississippi. Two Mississippi.
God. Yeah, this one's way behind.
3 Mississippi.
Keller coming in with the shitty Wi-Fi.
Well, in their defense, the nursing home just has to update their routers and stuff. They're a little behind.
God damn it.
They're still using those lead pipes with the paint chips.
Jack says we're all delayed. That's probably Keller's fault.
Yeah, he's dragging us all down. Typical. I think he's trying to sign to me. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's checking his pill schedule or something.
Keller, are you alive?
Hey, I'm trying to get in through my phone. Let me see if my phone will work better.
I think it will.
He's trying to get in on one of them damn jitterbugs.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna remove that. How's that? Oh God.
Hello.
How about now? Y'all hear me now?
That wasn't the question. Can you hear us?
I can hear y'all now.
All right, yeah, that's way better.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like you're hanging out in a morgue.
Exit out of your computer if you can, because we were getting a little feedback.
All right.
There he is. God damn you,
This
ugly
is
son of a
what
bitch.
it looks like when Keller hits you over the head with a hammer, and now he's trying to decide what he wants to do with you.
I told him before this, I don't think I've ever seen him without a hat, and it's very confusing.
That bald spot looking top tier.
Looking mighty fine, man.
Flicking them hairs.
Fine. Man, you actually might be Harry's uncle.
We can do one of those 23andMe's and find out. I feel like it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
No, man. Oh, geez. Anyways, now that that's sorted out, Smitty, any updates for us, buddy?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
Nice.
No.
Nice.
We're hairline homies, Harry said.
We're hairline homies. That's right.
What about you?
I got my male Mulking to eat another frozen thawed pinky today, so that was cool. I think I finally figured him out. I almost had him on one last week, but Kayla called me in the middle of it, and I mistakenly reached for my phone because he was mostly done. He just went, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, that was that. So, fed him today, and it takes a little finagling. This is the first one. Normally, like if I get him to, like with rat snakes, I'll get him to eat out of my hands, and they'll just kind of down it themselves. But this guy, I've got to I'll have my hand on the table. His front half will be on the table, and I have to hold the pinky the whole time, basically, and wiggle it to make it seem like it's alive the entire time until he gets all the way down to the back quarters, and I just kind of let go and freeze. Yeah, let go with my tongs. I don't move my hand at all.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Yeah, it's a process, but he ate it a little quicker than last time. So
yeah, I'm sure it'll get better over time. Where you can
Yeah.
drop feed it and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think he'll figure it out here soon enough. I'm just glad he's eating, man. I'll gladly hand feed him every time if I have to, as long as he's eating.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, did we do an episode since I got the boas?
No, that was before, the week before you got them.
Yeah.
I think.
So that's the biggest update is I got some locality red-tailed boas. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the island locality that they are because I will botch it, and I can't remember how it's pronounced. But they're an island locality of true BCC boa constrictors. So super excited about those. The male didn't eat for me when I offered him food last, or the first time. The female did, so that's good. So hopefully they get going here soon.
How old are those?
They're yearlings, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you and Sarg gotta knock it off with the boas and stuff, dude. I'm like, I'm not. Can't happen,
dude. These like I've always loved boas. Like since I was a little kid, I've loved boas, and red tails have always been my personal favorite. But what are you laughing at? That's facts. But red tails have always been a favorite of mine since I was like a little kid. But as most people know, true red tails get really
real hefty.
Yeah, they get big. So I never got into them because space, and I was planning on it one day, and then I actually picked these up from Chris Montross. He had a 2.2 group, and he decided to part with a pair, and he hooked me up with the pair, and I'm very, very excited. These are an island locality that stay a lot smaller, so they're staying more like Papuan carpet size, anywhere from like 4 to 6 feet, ish. So I think they'll be a little thicker than a carpet girl, just based on how they are now. Like their length to body mass right now is much larger than a carpet. So I think they're going to be a bit heftier than a Papuan, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I'm.
If I saw some, I mean, not that I really see them anymore at all, but any of the Calker Ks or like a pair of Terahumaras, like that would be tempting. If the price was right, I might pull the trigger on something like that. But
you can find Terahumaras a little easier than Calkers.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, the Calker keys are.
I think Vin Rousseau had one for sale a couple months ago, and it was something like $1,500, $2,000 or something like that. It was crazy.
That's one thing I've noticed as I've looked more at locality bows, because of course I got this pair and I'm like, what others are out there? And I'm finding out that locality boas are not cheap.
I don't think they're as popular as they used to be, man. When I was a kid, it was like there was articles talking about the Calker stuff and not Hog Islands, but Pearl Islands and like some of the other smaller ones and stuff. And I think they were much more popular at that point. But
I think the popularity is there. Like I think people would get them. It's just a lot. For one, they take a long time to mature.
Mm-hmm.
But for two, like people don't really get rid of them. And when they have babies, they're all gone like instantly. Like people want them. That's not the problem. It's
smaller litters too, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. The smaller localities are much smaller litters. So like it's when they're out there, they're gone very quickly, like guys like Vin have wait lists on these things, man. It's nuts. And then a lot of times those guys are also moving to their friends, and their friends are more than willing to take whatever they can get from them. So it's that's kind of why I jumped at the opportunity to get these, because I don't really see that opportunity coming around again anytime soon, especially at a decent price.
And now you and D-Sir can take turns blowing each other while you're talking about fucking locality boa constrictors.
That's right. Yeah, me and Sir been talking, man. Real happy.
I haven't heard from him the past couple of days. He's been dealing with some family stuff. I believe he said a family friend or of some sort passed away, so he's been helping with funeral arrangements and stuff like that, because we've got some pretty good arachnid stuff lined up. But I haven't talked to him in like a week and a half to sort of get a game plan going, which is fine. It was like, do whatever you got to do, man. No big deal.
Yeah.
So he's been kind of MIA, but he's also been working long shifts with his new job and stuff. So
yeah, you talk about somebody who gets up early. That man be putting in work early in the morning.
And he powers through.
Yeah. For a podcast, Keller.
Yeah. Motherfucker's also 14 years younger than I am.
I thought you were going to say 14 years old. That would have been.
Yeah, I thought he was too. I thought
that would have been funny.
Jake and I went to a rattlesnake talk.
That was cool.
Kellering Ale Works here in town. That was on Tuesday. Dr. Jamie Waldron, who's with Marshall University, I believe, and she's been to a handful of schools, but she's heading the Eastern Diamondback study on Paris Island. So she came and talked about that and stuff at the brewery. That was pretty cool. Jake and I went, and I had a beer. Jake had a few beers, and I didn't get to talk to her. I don't know. Did you talk to her for like a little while, or was it like a quick?
Like once I finally I kind of waited my turn because there's a bunch of people waiting to talk, and I finally just kind of
he shot a shot.
Yeah, I inserted myself. I was like, "Hi, I think you know a really good friend of mine," and then that person was like, "Okay, I gotta go," and so they left. And so yeah, I sat there and talked to her and her graduate student for probably 30-45 minutes.
Oh wow.
So had some good conversation. She said she'd be down to do THP. So got her number, and we'll be in touch. So hopefully that'll be a future episode talking about some Diamondback research that goes on down here.
Give her my number too.
What's that?
Give her my number too.
Yeah. I got you.
Can you imagine they're out there training, because Paris Island's one of the 2 Marine Corps recruiting depots in the country. It's us, and
Keller just shows up. What's up?
And they're walking around out there training, and Keller's just in the woods and his fucking.
I'm imagining like a onesie.
The obituary hat.
The obituary hat and obituary shirt, just standing there with a hook in his hands, like, "Hey, what y'all doing in my lands?"
Yeah.
And then they think he's like a domestic terrorist or something.
Right. But yeah, that'll be cool, because I really want to talk to her about, because she brought up SFD and Diamondbacks down here, and I didn't really know that was such a problem out there. So that's something I'm curious to poke her brain a little bit more about.
Is that what she's saying? They're finding SFD in the Diamondbacks over there?
Did she say specifically that they were finding it there?
Yeah, like 50%.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't catch that?
I didn't catch the 50% part.
That was the part that stuck out to me the most. She said almost 50% of the Diamondbacks they find out there now. Maybe that was in the question portion when people were asking questions. She said roughly 50% of the Diamondbacks they're finding out there have SFD.
Jack asked if you showed her pictures of our big back.
I didn't show her pictures, but I did.
Did you tell her we call them big backs?
No.
Oh, come on.
I wish that, because she on the picture she called them big old Diamondbacks. I was like, man, you can't call them big old Diamondbacks. Them big backs, big old backs. But
it was a good talk. It was only supposed to be like on the flyer thing, because a guy I know through work forwarded an email to my boss. My boss forwarded it to me that this was even happening. And so we went, and they were like, yeah, the presenter will be like a 20-minute talk. And I'm like, how much can she realistically cover in 20 minutes on something like that? So I was like, well, see, let's go, it's free, or, let's go check it out. Whatever. I had to drop off some shirts to Kellering anyways, because they're a big customer. So she ended up talking for like an hour.
Was it that long?
It was maybe 45 minutes to an hour.
I know the guy kind of cut her off in the middle of the questions. He was like, all right, that's whatever that.
Well, they had trivia scheduled, so I think they were trying to get the mic back. But
dude, it was
also running late. I think she was supposed to start at like 6. She didn't get there until like 6:30. So.
Yeah, it was funny. While I was talking to them, they came out. They're like, all right, snake question. All three of us looked over and like, oh, it was because this was during trivia. And they asked, what does the term king represent in the name of a snake? And we were all like, well, how specific do you want it? Do you want snake eater or Ophiophagus? Because that's 2 different things.
Need more context.
Right. But it was fun. It was funny. And Matt actually linked up with a couple people there. There's another guy there that was the naturalist over at the Maritime Center here.
Oh, nice.
Turns out he knew my boss and he knew Gabe.
Of course he did.
Of course. So talked to him for a while. I think I'm going to try and get him on Flippin' 10. So got some Got some connections. Got a couple
Leads.
cards.
I was
Yeah.
half expecting Tony Mills to be there, but
Yeah, I kind of
he's a busy
expected.
guy too. So
talking about Tony Mills, I'm really surprised. I mean, there might be. I mean, I don't know. I haven't asked Tony, but I assume you would know. But I'm kind of surprised there wouldn't be Diamondbacks on Spring Island.
I'm sure there are.
Has Tony ever mentioned that to you?
No. Not that I can remember, at least.
That's something I would want to talk to him
I don't
about.
know. We got to have him on. I know we've been talking about having Tony Mills on
Literally
for
since we started this show.
6 years.
Yeah.
And we keep planning to go to like a controlled burn with him and stuff, and then come back, do an episode sort of talking about it and stuff. And then it just schedules. It's always like, let me know. And then I'm like, cool. And then we do that back and forth, 3 times. And then
I swear he mentions it every year. Y'all need to come.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, he hasn't.
Like,
he's
literally
he's
say
like,
when.
Tell me. He's like, don't let me forget. And I'm like, okay, but then I let him forget because I forget.
Okay, well, do you want me to not let you forget?
No.
Jesus Christ, I've been wanting to do this with.
Well, there was also like a specific time of year he's wanting to do it, so I don't remember if it was in the fall or the spring.
Killing me.
He has an idea in his head of what he wants to do, and I need to get with him and figure out what that is and plan it accordingly.
Killing me, so I knew somebody I worked with at the restaurant was over there flipping with her class, and they flipped a coral snake, and this kid was about to grab it, and Tony noticed it, was like, wait. Like, so
my coworkers today were like, what's the rhyme for the corals? I'm like, if it's any combination of those 3 colors, leave it alone. That's the rhyme.
That's the rhyme.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, the rhyme doesn't matter if it's
don't touch it.
If it's red, black, yellow, or white, like if it's in a sequential order, don't touch it.
Yeah,
it's
because
that simple.
Or just spend 15 minutes looking at pictures of scarlet snakes, scarlet king snakes, and coral snakes, and you're like, oh, that one looks completely different from the other 2.
Right? It's that because that's my whole thing, man. I'm like, for one, the color thing does not matter for these things, but for 2, they look completely fucking different.
Like the scarlet snake has like the kind of shovely kind of nose,
that pointed head,
and then a scarlet king snake has like the torpedo shaped head, and then coral snakes have that rounded.
Yeah, but normies aren't gonna think about any of that stuff. They're just.
I know they're not normies, but if you took 15 minutes and pulled your head out of your ass, you could identify.
That's a big. That's a tall ask.
That's a tall order. Yeah.
Be real, Keller. Get real.
Get real.
When are you gonna send me some stuff?
When your wife lets you?
Apparently never, because you don't have any say in the kind of stuff that comes in your house.
Damn. Yeah, you have no rebuttal for that.
I don't. I've come so close. He sent me pictures. He's like, I got you. And I'm like, don't say it.
I tried to get you in on the snakes.
He did.
You were the first person I messaged after I got messaged about them.
I asked knowing that the answer was going to be no, but I was like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Let's roll those dice.
And what was this for?
Eyelash vipers.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So close.
Yeah.
Now I just have to live vicariously through him and Phil and Gabe. And it's
dude, Gabe's got some.
It is.
Gabe.
I've yet to see any of Gabe's stuff besides that snapping turtle.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've never seen those. The beaded thing, I don't see. That's
you were real close to those.
I was. It's a space issue, and I'd be keeping them in the garage here, and it gets really toasty in here in the summer.
Yeah,
like enough to make me concerned that it would be too hot for too
long.
long.
It would be too hot for them if it gets toasty in there.
Yeah,
you treat beadage just like a python.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, no, that would not work in the garage.
But I don't know. I need to hit up Ryan Reed and It's another one. He and I, like, we text each other infrequently, and it's always like, we need to hang out, man. I'm like, absolutely, let's do it. And then we do that 20 times, and it never, the thing you do when you're an adult and you get old.
Right.
What are you doing?
It puts the lotion on its skin.
Keller, do you ever wash that shirt? Because I'm pretty sure I've seen you wear that every single time I've seen you.
Because it's that comfortable.
Pretty much, yeah. No, I know. You haven't seen me wear this shirt ever.
At Daytona?
No, I didn't wear it at Daytona.
Yeah, you lying, boy.
I bought it at Daytona. I didn't wear it at Daytona. I wear band shirts. The Keller brand is the obituary hat and the death metal t-shirt.
And the camo shorts, baby. Let's go. Right. Oh, man.
What's new in Keller's world?
Just waiting on whatever's going to drop eggs to drop eggs. I got those. I got that baby Leonis a couple of weeks ago. That thing shed for me. It's been slamming fuzzies since I brought it here. So that thing is doing great. And then I got those 2 baby tarantulas. And one of those molted. The Holothelli longipes molted. I'm waiting on the Bumba cabocla to molt. That Pamphibedius. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, whichever one that is.
Yeah, I've had that thing for 3 months. I've had that thing for 3 months, and it's molted twice. It just molted again the other day. And,
yeah, dude, those in Therafosa, like, it's ridiculous how quick they grow.
And then my Rufalata, she molted sometime within the past week or so. I was going through feeding everybody last weekend. And I was like, hey, I hadn't seen her in a while, and I was like, let me check to be sure ain't nothing wrong. And I was like, she got a couple of cork tubes, and then she, put dirt curtains all around one of the cork tubes, and she likes to hide down under them dirt curtains. And I went to move over there, and there wasn't nothing there. And then I looked in the cork tube, and there was a molt stuck right at the top of the cork tube.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled that out. Like, maybe she was too stupid to realize she blocked herself in. So
you're gonna get a male?
Between me and Blake, we'll have one. I think Blake has 3 of them that he's growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'll probably wind up if I can whenever if I see an adult male pop up, I'll probably get it. I just don't know if I really want to go through the hassle and trouble of breeding tarantulas or not. That just seems very time intensive.
You can do it, and then when when they're no longer eggs with legs, you can send me as many as you want, and I'll raise them up. I'll take that ball and run with it.
I know Blake has a male king baboon, but it's small. It's only like, inch or 2 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got a big female, and then that one that I have is a big female. So once that male gets up to size, I'll probably send my female over to him.
Mm-hmm.
We'll try to get some egg sacs out of them, because that's still both of pretty much our favorite tarantulas.
I was about to say, based on your Instagram name, is it pretty safe to say that the king baboons are your favorite tarantulas?
Yeah, that's where it comes from. They're awesome looking tarantulas that you never see, because they just dig a hole and stay down there. And if you ever do see it, it wants to fight you.
Man, that describes you pretty well.
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn it, man. What are you expecting to drop snake-wise this year?
More California king snakes, leucistic Texas rat snakes, hognose snakes. I may get a clutch or 2 of Honduran milk snakes.
Damn.
I don't know if the Barons is going to go, or if she isn't, she's going to go later, because she should have already laid eggs by now. But I got her out a couple of weeks ago, and she didn't feel like she was gravid. And then I got her out again last night because she, of course, I'm fixing to go out of town for a few days. So she's like, let me just fuck this entire cage up. So I had to get her out last night to clean the cage, and she still wasn't anything that was like, she's gravid. And I threw the mail in with her again last week, but I didn't see anything. So, but they may, she may not have went, they may not have done, well, they locked up in December when I put them together. She should have been dropping eggs, but he may not have done the deal, or she may not have wanted to go. So maybe she'll go later on this year.
Mhm.
And then I've been pairing the diadem rat snakes up.
Have you been seeing locks in those?
No.
No.
I haven't
Those
seen
are-
anything, but they don't do anything if you're in there looking at them, other than just sit there and hiss at you the entire time. So I've thrown them in there. I've been putting them in there for a few days at a time, and then I'll pull them out, and then put them back in, pull them out, put them back in, and feed them and all that or whatever. So I don't know. I'm hoping so. I really wouldn't. I'd really like to get some of those, and then what else?
If you haven't noticed, Keller has one of the most eclectic collections, I think, of anybody I know. I'm pretty sure this dude has fucking everything. So
He is. He's one of those guys that like he mentions that he has something, and you're like, when did you get that? Oh, I've had it for
the last 10 years. What do you mean? I bred him 6 times in 93.
93
or whatever.
I'm thinking what else.
Any venomous stuff?
Do I now?
You pairing any squams or anything?
The one. Well, she doesn't look gravid, but she's acting like she is. So I don't know. They locked up, but she didn't look like she was. She didn't. She doesn't look like she's gravid, but she's been the past month or so. She hadn't. She's eaten once, like in the past 2 months, and she's been not perched up in a tree, but sitting on the perched up on a branch, but sitting on the ground, kind of,
spread out a little bit.
Yeah, lazily coiled. So, like I said, she doesn't look like she is to me, but she's not. But she's acting like she is. So,
I was about to say that's always a good sign for something arboreal. When they're on the ground doing their coils, like
they're not where they're supposed to be.
Right, like that's always a good sign.
She said out like a week or so ago. So I don't know how long after it shed, if anything's going to happen, something's going to happen or whatever. And then
how long's the gestation on those?
Like 7 to 9 months.
Is it really?
Holy shit.
And I know they locked up sometime after Daytona last year. I remember seeing that they had locked up, so we're like in that time frame.
Right, we're in the window.
So like I said, if I just waiting to see, and then the Cerastes.
Damn.
Have you been talking to Phil about what he's doing with his? Like, are you doing pretty much the same thing as like you throwing ideas off each other about that, or?
I told him what I was doing with mine, or actually not. I hadn't told him, but like I've seen they've locked up. She's blowing up. I don't want to count my eggs before they're laid, but if I was a betting man, I would say that I'm probably going to see some.
Yeah, that's cool. Those are neat too. That'd be awesome. Yeah, so like Jake was saying, you've got a pretty extensive collection currently, but you've also kept a ton of stuff. And as far as like the venomous stuff goes, like how has your collection with those evolved over time? Because I know like you had some Elapids and stuff in the past, and it seems like your days with those are kind of over.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, before we get too deep into your current, let's go back to the 50s real quick. And
God damn.
tell us,
Tell us about the war. Any of them.
how'd you get into snakes? Because out of all my friends,
this is Pandora's box, and I'm scared to peek inside.
I've known you for quite a long time now, but I have never heard how you got into snakes. So I'm curious about that story.
Basically, according to my mother, pretty much from the time I was able to crawl around, if I could catch a bug or a lizard or a frog or some shit like that,
you try and eat it.
That's what I would, trying to catch it and, fuck around with it or whatever. And and then pretty much that's just what I've been doing for as long as whatever. And then, when I was, like 8 years old, I convinced my parents to let me get a garter snake, or they got me a snake for Christmas. It was a garter snake or a ribbon snake of some kind or whatever. Which my dad deathly terrified of snakes, but so they got me a little garter snake, and I had that thing for a while, and then it PCE'd itself out of the cage and got loose.
Damn.
At first, I didn't get that. I was like,
I didn't either. It took a minute.
PCE himself.
And it got loose, and then pretty much, ever since then, I've always had a snake or a lizard of some kind, and I did, up to about my 9, yeah, pretty much I always had at least one kind of reptile, and then when I moved out of my parents' house and when I was in my early 20s or whatever, and then I got a like in 2004, 2005, I got a job, and I was working the middle shift, and it's like, you work from 3 in the afternoon to 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night, and I was like, well, here goes my social life, and I was like, well,
yeah, that's a shit shift.
So I was like, got that, and that's also about the time that the internet and YouTube and all that crap had come along, and that's like, oh, I don't just have to find, I just don't have to go to this one pet store and see if they have anything. It's like, now I know this or whatever, that and crap like that. So I started, said that pretty much then is when I just started amassing a collection, and like in 2006-ish, I'd been watching a bunch of Viper Keeper on YouTube and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, because I'd always been obsessed with venomous snakes, always had or whatever. And it was just, it was one thing where my mom was like, well, when you don't live here, you can do whatever you want to do. And I was like, I don't live there no more. Guess what?
I was planning on it. Yeah.
All right.
So, like I said, I've been, watching a bunch of Viper Keeper, and then I'd, read anything that I could on, the internet about keeping venomous snakes and stuff like that. And, the pet store, the little reptile shop that I used to go to, because I was in there every week. And, at some point in time, I was talking to the girl that worked there or whatever, and I'd said something about, wanting to get into venomous snakes or whatever and shit like that. And then like a week or two later, I went in there, to pick up my usual stuff, and she was like, hey, this other guy that comes in here pretty regularly, he's he's trying to sell some animals, and he just so happens he has a pygmy rattlesnake. It's like, would you be interested in it? And I was like, this this must be fate, this is where it's got to go. So I was like, yeah. I was like, give him my phone number and stuff like that. And Guy called me or whatever, and he had a big old dusky pygmy that I forgot where he said he had collected it from, but he would sell me that and the 2-foot Neodesha that she came in for like $50, and I was like,
$50 in a Butterita.
it's before Bud Readers were around.
Okay, a King Cobra.
Yeah, but it was like, if you want her, it's like, go right ahead. I was like, yeah, sure, of course, or whatever. So, I bought this pygmy rattlesnake, and that was off to the races as far as venomous shit or whatever. And, now I've kept crap from everywhere from pygmy rattlesnakes to Moroccan cobras.
What was the first exotic venomous that you got?
A Schleg,
Oh.
viper.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I was telling, so I was went to a Columbia Repticon in like 2008, and went to this, it was so amazing. Just all the shit that can kill you and how cheap it was and the variety that was there. And my little bitch ass walks around and I saw this, gold phase or, the yellow eyelash viper. I was like, oh man, I gotta have it. And at the same point, on the same table with that eyelash viper was a blue speckled rattlesnake. And I forgot what it wasn't. They were in the same price range. They were in the same price range, right? But I had to have that eyelash viper. Oh, I had to have this pretty yellow eyelash viper. Oh, it's so pretty or whatever, And I bought that eyelash viper, and that eyelash viper did great till I went on vacation and my house got too hot, and it died. But if I'd have bought that fucking blue speckled rattlesnake,
would have been fine.
Would have been fine.
They're gonna be like, oh man, we getting a little toasty.
Would have just got hungry.
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn, man. That's wild. So now are you like 50-50 venomous and
No, he's 52.
okay. Are you 50-50 venomous, non-venomous, or are you a little heavier on the non-venomous side?
I'm a little heavier on the non-venomous side.
Because you also have a bunch of lizards too, don't you?
Got a handful.
Handful. That's funny. Keller's handful is like 2 handfuls for most people.
There's the green keelbellied lizards.
Those are really cool.
Fucking cool, man. Oh.
There's a pair of those. There's the clownagamas, the Euromastics, the gargoyle geckos that came from KP.
The KP trash.
Yeah. Which I like those. I like those things a hell of a lot. I thought I was going to.
I've been so tempted by gargoyle geckos so many times.
Just get a pair.
Yeah,
but Pangea is a breeze.
Yeah, they're so easy. And then the collared lizards.
He's got Gilas too, right?
Beateds and Gilas.
God damn.
But technically the Gilas ain't mine, or at least as of right now, they probably are mine. He just hadn't told me they're mine yet. I don't think he's coming back to the States.
Is it Pablo Escobar?
Don't you have leaf tail geckos too?
No.
I thought you had leaf tails for some reason.
I had the Irian Jaya bent-toed gecko, night stalker gecko, whatever the hell that thing is called.
The Richard Ramirez gecko?
Yeah. And I believe that's all the lizards.
Damn it, man. You have a lot of shit because, like, you're also the guy that I feel like every show I've been to with you, your goal is to find the weirdest colubrid at the show.
Yeah.
And just buy it. Like, just, yeah, don't know nothing about them, but here we are.
Pretty much, yeah.
They look cool.
How we're gonna learn.
Yeah. And it's crazy because, like, you succeed with so much of it too. It's like, you know, those diadem rat snakes, like, obviously those aren't hard, but like you just kind of like, yep, got them on a whim, and now several years later you're like, yep, breed them.
Hey. I ain't bred them yet. We're gonna see. They're well, at least the male has proven to be a problem because he doesn't want to eat anything that's not live, and he doesn't want to eat anything that's big. So I have to throw him like 3 or 4 pinkies or a couple of fuzzies at a time.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to not, you know, or whatever. And the 2 females, they're on them regularly right now, but they will occasionally just be like, yeah, if we can't kill it, we're not eating it.
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, I've got a pine snake like that. Like, I mean, it's not really live versus frozen thawed. It's more like, yeah, I pulled them out of cooling. Well, I pulled both of them out of cooling, the male and female. I'm not pairing them this year. But the female went down eating rats, no problem. She came out of cooling and was like, no, I want chicks. And then the male was just slamming rat after rat. Then last week, he's like, no, I don't want a rat. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, yeah.
That big copperhead that I have, that big red copperhead that I have, right before I put him down for the winter, he was just like, you know, like the last 2 feedings before I put him down before winter, he's like, yeah, I'm not eating, you know, I'm not going to, you know, whatever. And I was like, well, that's fine. You know, you're plenty fat. You've eaten plenty this year, so I ain't overly concerned about it. And then when I pulled him out of brumation, warmed him up, you know, throw a mouse in there, you know, throw a frozen thawed mouse in there, whatever, you know, stick it in front of his face, and he, you know, pulls away from it. You know, did that like 3 or 4 times. Like, you know, I'd leave it in there, you know, for a few hours, and, you know, he'd never eat it. So I'd come back, you know, take it out or whatever. So I was finally like, you fucking piece of shit. You know, so I went and bought, you know, went to the, you know, one of the shops, because unfortunately there ain't, you know, the place that's closest to me doesn't never have any of the shit that I ever actually need. So it's like, some days I have to drive like 45 minutes to an hour out of my way to go pick up live mice, because, you know, the shit that I have that won't eat, you know, frozen thawed or whatever. And I just, you know, went and got him a live mouse, and I threw it in there, and, you know, he hammered it. So the next week I went and got him another live mouse, and he hammered it. And then ever since then, you stick a frozen thawed mouse in there and he hammers it. Like, thanks for making me, you know, waste $2.
Just making sure you're paying attention. That's all.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing about this, my pine. I don't know if because I fed the female is back on. She's eating chicks now. I haven't offered her a rat yet, but she's eating chicks, and I don't know if the male smelled the chicks and was like, no, I want that. I didn't give it to him. And that's the thing. Like, he's hungry. He's cruising his enclosure constantly. He's pushing all this shit. So I'm like, I know you want to eat. And I give him a rat, and he's like, nah, fuck you. I smell that chick. And I think
I have a few things that just like periodically are like, yeah, we want live food, you know, even though I've eaten, you know, frozen thawed for 95% of my life. Now I decide that, you know, I need to kill it.
Yeah, I love these things, but they're so dumb sometimes.
Yeah. Sean Porter asked, what do you prefer more, Blue Beauties or Russians?
Ooh, that's hard. Russians.
I still want Russians. Russians are very high on the list of next stuff.
Shit, I don't know. So that's hard, man. I like, you know, the thing about the Russians is, for the most part,
very bulletproof.
But I mean, outside of that, they're not going to light you up when you go to get them out. But like that Blue Beauty that I have, as soon as you start, fucking around with this cage, he's already starting to, rear back and inflate his throat and, all that stuff or whatever. Which, granted, he hadn't bitten me a whole bunch, but he's very much not interested in whatever bullshit I'm bringing to the table.
Whatever he's not buying, buddy.
Yeah.
But like I like the Blue Beauties. Like that still pisses me off that that pisses me off more than the fact that I actually got divorced is the fact that she took the female Blue Beauty with her.
Ah, no, man.
I would have been breeding Blue Beauties this year, but yeah.
That fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Damn.
But I do like Russians. Russians are cool. They're really cool.
How many of those do you have right now?
2.1.
Okay.
I got my one female turned out to be another male.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought a female from Billy at Daytona last year. I need to get me another one.
Yeah,
Smitty, when are you getting Russians, man? You've been talking.
I don't know, dude. I know. I've been
talking
for years. Long time. I just hasn't. The timing just hasn't been right. That's all. Other stuff has taken precedent, but
I feel like you've been talking about those since I've known you. Man.
I've wanted them for a very long time, and I think they're now starting to get to a much more attainable price point to where if I wanted a pair, I'm not having to drop $700. So we'll see. It just depends on if I can find some and make it happen.
They're cool. They've just never really done it for me, I guess. I don't know why. Like they're very cool snakes. Like their body structures, their head structures, like just very unique snakes. But just something about them,
they're just like your yellow rat snake.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, they're a yellow rat snake that looks like a chain king that lives in the trees
and is brown,
and keeled.
Yeah, keeled scales.
I guess some of them you see a lot of them that are black and have the yellow.
I think the browner ones you're thinking of are Koreans.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Koreans, I don't have really any interest in.
Yeah.
The male that I have that's a female the male that I have that was supposed to be the female is black and yellow, almost like a boiga, a mangrove. The other male that I have, the yellow's kind of faded out because I'm not 100% sure how old that thing is. Somebody just gave me that one because they were tired of taking care of it. And then the one that I got from Billy is starting to get its starting to go through its color change to where it's going from brown to black and from brown and white to black and yellow.
Yeah, I'd like some eventually.
They're really
I don't think
cool.
I've never heard someone say they didn't enjoy them.
Yeah, I've never heard a bad thing about them. Like that's for sure. Because I've also heard they do fine in your basic setups like racks and whatnot, but I've heard they also do really well in super large enclosures. Very natural.
Yeah, they're pretty adaptable.
Yeah,
pretty easy to please.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Keller, how are the false cobras doing? The Egyptians?
They're doing fine.
Those are some of my favorite snakes you have, man. Those things are so fucking cool.
They're doing fine. I'm pretty sure they're the same sex because I hadn't seen any kind of breeding behavior out of them. But as far as just when they're out and about, and I go in the room, when they're out and about, they'll put on a show for me. They'll start hooding up and doing all that stuff or whatever. And yeah, they're fun. They're super fun.
Those are cool, man.
And you kept Sam Mofus at one point, right? Didn't we have a conversation about that?
I have one now.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because I kept seeing those it was a couple years ago, but Underground or someone kept posting some for sale, and I was like, those are really cool looking. I did some Googling, and there's not a ton of information as far as like people keeping them. I think Nipper kept some for a while, and then I was talking to you about them, and you said, have you always just had one, or did you have more of them at one point?
Nah, I just have the one.
Oh, yeah.
Give us layman your common name for that. What are you talking about?
Hissing sand snake.
Oh, yeah.
Or African whip snake.
Yeah.
It's basically is Africa's version of a coach whip and it's rear fanged.
They're pretty neat. I like that I like the look of them. The stripes are really clean and the colors and stuff like that. And
yeah.
As far as that, I mean, are you keeping those and the false cobras pretty similar? Because I feel like they have a pretty similar niche.
Pretty much, they're both in. I keep all my really extreme desert stuff here in glass aquariums with screen tops and heat lamps because it's the southeast and humidity is
right.
Yeah,
for stuff that never sees water. The humidity in the southeast can kill it. So the easiest way to not have to deal with that is cook the humidity out of it with a glass cage and a heat lamp. So they're set up pretty much the same way. The Egyptian false cobra's main basking spot gets a little bit hotter than the Samophis, but it's kept the same way. With the crushed English walnut bedding, a couple of hide spots, some branches or whatever and stuff like that. And
that crushed walnut bedding looks so good, man. Like that's always been like my preferred like desert style bedding for stuff. Like it's a good looking substrate.
And it acts. I mean, it acts like a coach whip. It'll come out and you'll stand up and do that periscoping thing and stuff like that. And then if you surprise it when you're, whenever I go to deal with it, if I surprise it as opposed to it just noticing me, it starts getting the zoomies. Sometimes it'll shoot out of the opening of the cage, and then it's like, oh shit! Now I got to grab this fucking thing.
With those species, so I know like with rosy boas, if you give them access to water 24/7, they'll have regurgitation issues because they just gorge on water. Are there like any issues like that with those types of?
I give them so the Samophis and the Egyptian false cobras. I give them their water bowl. I will put enough in there basically just so you get a slight meniscus at the bottom. It'll evaporate out within, a day or two.
Yeah.
Or actually not like less than a day or whatever. And that's their opportunity to get water. If they don't get water, then they don't get it.
How often are you giving it to them?
Once a week.
Once a week, yeah. That's how it was with the Rosie. Whenever I had one, well, me and somebody back in the heyday, we had one, and it was constant regurgitation issues, but we had water in it constantly. And then we read that like you give them water for like 1 day out of the week.
Yeah.
If that,
they're just use tiny water bowls.
Yeah, small water bowls.
The Cerastes, I don't even give them water. Because I feed, they both eat frozen thawed, and I thaw all their stuff out in warm water, and I'll take theirs and I'll put it on a paper towel and let it dry up a little bit, but there's still obviously retained moisture in the fur. And then occasionally I'll go take a syringe or a water sprayer and, spray them, on the head or whatever and stuff like that, because their scales are designed to wick water up towards the corners of their mouth. And that's only water they get. For me, they don't have a water bowl. I never give them standing water. And I've been doing that with them, with this pair that I have now for 3.5 years.
Jeez. So. It's crazy how that stuff works, because you would think like species like that, you're like, oh, I give them water and they'll be happier because now they have access to water. But no, they're
They'll kill
through
themselves with it. They don't
yeah
because of the fact that they get it so
infrequently. Like
it's the same thing with Gilas and baby
yeah,
lizards. If you give them a big bowl of water,
they'll
they'll
just
kill
gorge
themselves. You know,
But
they'll stay in there and they won't thermoregulate. I'll be right back. I got to get a
they're good.
refill.
Like
He's
that.
out of a Budweiser.
That stuff blows my mind with species like that, is because like they're through millions of years of evolution, their species is so used to not getting water
Right.
that when they have it, they're like, oh, drink as much as you fucking can now, and they just essentially drown themselves in it, and it's
Budweiser stand a chance.
this Budweiser don't stand a chance.
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel it is with chondros and food, man. Like it's the same thing. They'll just eat and eat and eat.
I mean, I think that's with anything though. Like as far as food is concerned, that's what snakes is opportunistic feeders, because they go through seasons of not having so much. So, a lot of these things you can feed them every damn day and they'll happily eat it, because they can. But that is to their own detriment. So.
But Keller has a species that you don't see very often in collections, and I think it's awesome. It's probably one of my favorites as far as what he's keeping, which is the Malayan pits.
Oh yeah.
What's your experience been like with those?
Yeah, well, the male has got enough size up to him now where he's starting to get a little bit froggy.
Mm-hmm.
But they're gonna get upgraded to a bigger cage sometime here in the next couple of weeks. And I'm gonna try to pair them up next year, but they're fairly simple.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it ain't nothing that you want to fuck around with. But they've been so far, that pair that I have, the pair that I have right now have been pretty mellow. They're getting, they've got some good size to them now. They got to get moved into a bigger cage. They should have been moved. I've just been being lazy about moving other stuff around. But yeah, they're pretty easy. The male, he infrequent feeder, but the female eats every time. It's been pretty much whenever you throw food in there to her. But like I said, he's been sitting outside of his hiding spot more frequently as of late. And I went into the room that they're in the other day, and I was sitting there messing around with something. I heard something go thump the edge of the cage, and I was like, oh, the male. And I looked down and I see the male had done wrenched his head back. I was like, well, it's a good thing that plastic was there.
The landmines, dude.
They're cool. I've always egg-laying pit vipers to me are some of the most interesting.
I think for me,
it's so weird to me, dude.
It's like you went through all these phases of evolution and then went backwards a couple of steps.
Exactly.
Yeah, they scratch the same itch for me as like Porthidium does.
I had one, and that's the same thing when you just all the stuff that I used to see back, in the late 2000s, early 2010s or whatever. You just don't see anymore. I can't remember which species mine was. It wasn't Nazotum. It was the other more common one.
Wasn't Parasi, was it?
No.
The Volcanium or Volcanum?
No. There was another more common species back in the early, like around the 10s. You had the rosy eye, which that's the ones that are the gold ones, or whatever. And then there was the Nazotum.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I remember which one. I think I know which one you're talking about now. I'm trying to remember what it was. Now I got to look. Not not Landsberg eye, right?
No, yeah, Landsberg eye. Pretty sure that's what it was.
It's Volcanicum is the one, not Volcanium.
But I had one of those for a while, and that thing was fun because that was one of those ones. It was also another one that it wouldn't never eat anything frozen thawed.
Oh, really?
But it would you toss a live one in there, but it was one you throw a live hopper in there, and it would go from the other side of the cage, and it'd be one of those ones where it'd flip upside down while it was biting it, and then sling it over or whatever. And stuff like that would do one of those crazy strikes, and then I had that for a couple of years, and then when I moved from my old place over to where I live at now, it was one of the ones that didn't
adjust.
Yeah, didn't adjust to the new settings of the room, and, and that's like I said. You used to see Nazudum, Landsberg eye, Rosie eye.
Parassi was kind of the rarer of the group, right? Or the more expensive ones that were a little tougher to come across. No,
probably tougher to come across. Like I said, the three main ones that I remember in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, early 2010s were the. Is there a Huntman eye?
I think there was at one point. I don't know if that's still a thing or not.
But like I remember Landsberg eye was a common one, then the Zudum, and then you had the Rosie eye, which you had the gold phase and then the regular phase of those. And they were, a dime a dozen. But, the babies are like that big when they're born. And I guess
tiny.
People got tired of, putting their fingers, millimeters away from, a possible really bad day to try to force feed some snakes.
Mm-hmm.
So
it looks like Huntman eye at one point, I don't know if it still is, was a subspecies of Landsberg eye.
That may have been what mine was. It may have been a Landsberg eye, Huntman eye. Like I said, either way, that's another one that you don't see them no more. You don't see Porthidium anymore. You don't see Porthidium anymore. I remember, I had a, Vipera Amidites. You used to see them all the time. I've only seen a handful over the past 7 or 8 years, and that's one of those ones that is like, I paid like $100 for mine back in 2010, 2011, and now people are asking $1,100, $1,200.
I don't think you're seeing them for anything cheaper than $1,000.
And it's just kind of like, eh.
But was it a case of kind of what we've seen with other stuff in the past, where you had it and you were like, yeah, this is cool, but you're like, it's never going to go anywhere. I'll get more eventually. And then...
that was my experience with it, because I bought the one that I had. So I was at which if me nowadays could go back and kick myself in the ass from 15 years ago or whatever, but it's like at a Columbia show, I'd bought a whole bunch of shit or whatever, and I still had $100 in my pocket or whatever, and they had it was what used to be Glades Glades Herb Farm.
Yeah.
It was on Glades table, and they had locality Amidites, and it was a Corfu Island Vipera Amidites, and he had pairs of them, but I didn't have enough money for a pair because I bought some other bullshit. And and like I said, I'd seen them all the time. You've seen just Amidites or whatever and crap like that all the time. So I bought this. I was like, let me get a male, and I'll grab a female next show. I'll grab a female in a few months at the next show or whatever. Never saw any Amidites again.
Yeah.
Especially from that locality.
Yeah, there's so many of those. I'm sure, like, finding, if you end up coming across one of those like sort of rare localities, like finding a partner for that is probably a long shot.
That's what I said. I had that one, and it's like like I said, just one Which even, back then I wasn't, necessarily, like I said, if I could go back and kick myself in the ass like you fucking pile of shit, you could have bought a fucking low calorie pair of that or whatever. But like I said, even back, it was just like, well, I'll just get another Ambidites, at the next show or whatever, And I guess never saw any more. And I just had this, lone male, and he was a fucking cool ass fucking snake. And I had a buddy of mine who's just, he's just always just, he was obsessed with the snake too, and I just, he finally convinced me to sell it to him. Because I was just kind of like, well, like, you're just another mouth to feed. I'm not,
Right.
I can't find another one of you. Apparently, I've scoured the internet and can't find, anybody that has any or whatever. So I sold it to him, and then he wound up moving somewhere, and that animal didn't survive the move. I was like, you motherfucker.
Damn.
Like I said, I paid $100, $125, $150 for that animal. And now everyone, and also the only ones that you really see come in or that that are here now are either albino or head albino, or they're the yellow ones, which the yellow ones are cool, but I like that slate gray with the black.
Dude, yeah, those and the bone white ones are just
the slate gray with that black zigzag stripe. Yeah, that's the way that male that I had, it was, slate gray. I mean, just dark black zigzag stripe with a green tail on it, a green tail tip, and it would do the caudal luring, and all of a sudden it was perfectly calm, But you don't see him no more. That sucks. Cause that's such a cool fucking snake. As far as the unicorn snakes are concerned, that one is actually the superior one.
That
I will agree to that.
Yeah, I can't. It's hard to argue that.
Those are probably my favorite pit vipers in existence.
I don't know. Panesius is pretty cool.
Yeah, Panesius was cool. I've been kind of entertaining the idea about seeing if I can wheel and deal and get me some more of those.
I think of all the things that I wanted venomous wise that I was so close to selling the wife on, I think Panesius I was on the cusp. I was almost there. And it didn't happen.
You've said that about so many things.
No, but like legit, Panesius, it was like we saw him at was it B City Zoo has some, and I was like, look, I showed her a male. I was like, look at how small the male is. I was like, that's more than manageable. I can do it. And
all you have to do is lie.
The gears were turning.
And say it's not gonna hurt you if you get bit. It's basically rear
Okay.
Rear fang snakes aren't actually venomous. So
it's a bee sting, bro.
It's just a bee sting.
I don't think a Punesius probably it'd take a big female to really knock you on your ass. Probably. But either way, mine weren't ever really all that bad. But yeah, like you said, I mean, what's so funny about them is, females would get, a respectable size, a couple of feet long, pretty good girth or whatever, but a male ain't never going to get big enough to eat anything larger than a fuzzy.
It's like hognose snakes in terms of like difference. It's pretty wild.
Dude, my hogs I got from you, Keller, are so funny. The normals I got, the female is an absolute chonk, and it's so funny. When I got them, the male was the one that would eat anything I put in front of him, and the female was kind of iffy. Now it's reversed. The male will eat a fuzzy if I'm lucky, and then the female just eats all the extras. She gets 3 to 4 fuzzies like every time I feed her. And so I'm beefing her up nicely. Hopefully they get to go in the next year or two.
I need to send a shed off. Do they do shed like genetic testing on sheds for those?
Why don't you just probe it?
No, because I want to know if he's het for anything.
I
know it's a male. He's not that big.
Yeah.
You've seen him.
Yeah, he's not big.
But I'm curious if he has any hets or anything. I've been tempted to get him a girlfriend, but I'm like, why? I don't need to.
Dude,
dogs.
I swear to God, Keller, that
Actually, if you were to breed just normal hogs, I have never not had a problem getting rid of hogs.
and they do, and they're not really
They're not
super
that
cheap,
hard.
and they're
They're not
not
that
super
hard to get started.
more. Like the normal hogs are still selling for like 150, 200 bucks a piece now. Like they're not. And dude, I swear to God, that mail you sent me is the weirdest looking normal hog nose I've ever seen.
They
Like
got a bunch of green on them, bunch of green, like
not
a
not green, but like this really auburn colored red, but it's more so the patterning. Like he looks like an anaconda, but he's not. And he's just such a weird snake. And he's so cool, and I love him to death. He's great. He's so cool. I can't wait to try and like I want to put I have a super conda Arctic female and or het albino, and then I've got an albino anaconda, and I want him to breed those and see what he does to an actual anaconda phase. Not phase, but and the anaconda morph, because I feel like he could produce some seriously reduced pattern anacondas. It's such a weird snake. It's so funny. So these hogs I have from Keller, he sent a picture of like the whole group, and I messaged him personally, and I circled this one, and I was like, if you get rid of this hog, you let me know because I want it. And like a year later, he messages me and goes, "You still want that hog?" And I was like, "Yes." And he sent it to me. So very, very happy. Such a weird.
I need to feed Wilson.
Such a weird hog nose, man. I love him to death.
Yeah, that's out of that clutch that those came from. That one that you got, and then another one that I. That's what I like about hogs. Like you can almost when they all hatch out, you put them in. I do vermiculite.
Oh, you psychopath!
Probably I've got a giant bag of vermiculite because I couldn't find perlite or whatever, so I just got to go through the bag of vermiculite. Like when the shit hatched out, when they all hatch out, after they hatch out, give them a couple of days for everybody to get out of the egg and crap like that. I'll take them, throw them all in a couple of inches of water to let them get vermiculite off. And like hogs specifically, like you can look at them, all of them right there beside each other, and you can look at the ones like you're going to be really nice, you're going to be really nice, or whatever. So like when I set them up, you can go ahead and be like, possible holdback, possible, stuff like that or whatever. That's like I said, the one that you got was one of those ones that was like, yeah, I might keep this one, and then I shared them in that group chat, and you was like, you expressed interest in it. So after it got, several meals into it, I was just like, hey, next time we get a chance to meet up, if you want it, there you go.
Yeah, dude, I'm so happy with him. Like, I'm just like, I guess for me, like now, like obviously I love locality stuff, but outside of locality, I love selective breeding, and the selective breeding potential with him is ridiculous. I'm gonna grab him out real quick. I want to show you him. He looks pretty cool. Hold on.
Use a hook. Hooks, not hands. Saw a picture the other day. Someone had posted it was just a hog nose. They're like, yeah, it's just hanging on to me. And it's like, why?
He ain't very big, but he's still got that reduced pattern look to him, man. Like
that's a lot like what his dad looks like.
He looks so freaking cool, dude. Like just such a neat animal for a normal. Like looks nothing like the female. Like with the female, all of these dots are saddles, and he's just really light colored and just I feel like he could produce some really reduced pattern animals. And
Yeah, he looks cool. He looks good.
yeah, he looks great, man. Like I'm stoked on him. Like I say, he hasn't grown as much. I mean, he could breed at this size. I think that's the issue is he's getting to that mature age and he doesn't want to eat as much. So because he wants to fuck.
Yeah.
And but just he looks so good, dude. I freaking love the snake. And he's one of the only hogs that won't grab my fingers if I just reach in and grab.
Yeah, his dad. You know, when you pop the when you open up his tub, his mouth
Oh
out.
yeah. Every other hog I have, I won't just reach in and grab because they will 100% grab your fingers. But he's pretty chill. Yeah, just really light colored. Like he looks completely different from the female. The female looks very normal hog nose like, but he's exceptional, man. Like, and I love the bellies on them.
Yeah, hogs are really cool. Like I
I,
said,
I love them, man.
I was pleasantly surprised that I got as interested in them as I did. That's that was
You work with some albinos too, don't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said those came about because the hogs came about because of my ex-wife back when we was first started dating or whatever. She wanted to have a pet snake, and she decided she wanted an albino hog nose. All right, fine. I'll buy you an albino. I bought her an albino hog nose for her birthday or whatever. And then, once we started living together, I was like, well, you're not gonna live over here and not be working. So I bought so I went and bought a head albino female for him or whatever. But just sitting there and watching. Watching them and watching the male specifically, do his little thing, and then after the first time I bred them, I was like, holy shit, these are really, really fun.
Yeah, dude. It was funny when I got the pair from you. I was like, okay, I really need to plug this dude into a morph, and I immediately thought of the anacondas because I've always loved the anaconda morphs. So I hit up Eli because he had some stuff on Morph Market, and he had this albino anaconda girl. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. Like, I'll get her. And so I went down there and to pick up the snake and go see Sky. I think it was actually the first time I went to Sky's place. I picked up this hog. And I'm sitting there talking to Eli, and he's like, yeah, this is the other male I've got. And that I'm trying to move, and he showed me him, and it was an Arctic albino anaconda, AAA. And I was like, damn, that looks really good. He's like, dude, I was gonna wholesaler. He's like, I'll give them to you at a wholesale price. And I was like,
done.
I was like, okay, I guess I'll take him too. And then I had those, and I was like, well, I guess I need another more female to go with this, so I got a an Arctic superconda head albino, and so now I've got this not weird, but I've got this cool mix of different hogs over here for a little project, and that male is definitely going to play a part into the anaconda stuff. I'm super excited to see what he does.
I bought I don't remember what all it is because I think it had like 4 different morphs in it, but it's a anaconda shadow something or other het albino from Kevin Barron.
Yeah.
At Daytona last year that I'm growing up, and I'm just kind of figuring out what probably wind up when she gets up to size pairing her up with the dad of the one that you got for me.
Yeah, he's such a cool hognose, man. And hognoses go back to like the beginning of keeping snakes for me, because the first snake I had was a corn that died in my hands a matter of months later after I got it. And then I had a ball python, and that was the only snake I had. But after the ball, the next 2 snakes I got were both Western hogs, and never did anything with them. Just kept them for a long time. Ended up selling them when I was in Texas. And just kind of regretted it ever since. And I always wanted hogs again. And then I saw you had those, and I was like, man, I gotta get some.
I'm glad you did. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'd rather give a friend of mine a good deal, if not even just give him the fucking snakes and deal with some jabroni that wants to go back and forth on price or, well, if I buy this, buy this, I'd rather my friend have them. That way I can see what they look like when they grow up. Like the two barons that I hooked you up with.
Oh,
You know,
buddy. I got those the same day I got the hogs, man.
like I said, seeing those, I'm like, God damn it, I should have never sold them.
Dude, that mail you sent me is ridiculous.
It's
Like,
the same way with the one that I gave to Smitty that he got scared of and sent to Sky. Every time I see a Barons that I sent off to somebody, I'm just like, fuck, I should have kept that. And then
yeah.
it's like, I don't need 17 fucking Barons.
Well, that's the thing. The female you sent me looks a lot like the one you sent Smitty. Very yellow, very dark, really black belly, like completely opposite of the male. But it was funny getting those going because like the male was eating right off the rip, but the female took a little bit of convincing. It was funny. Sky told me, he's like, dude, offer that thing a fuzzy. He's like, for whatever reason, they like the bigger, especially at that size, they like the bigger meals. Like, give her a fuzzy and see what she does. And sure enough, man, she started taking fuzzies, and now she's a fucking psychopath for food, man. I gotta wash my fingers every time I open the tub because she's at the edge, like following my hands.
That's the funny thing about, or at least with my pair, is that outside of the size difference, just the way they react to food. Like my female, I mean, they're always looking for food or whatever, but like when they know they're like, when I open up, especially when I've got food in the room and I slide the glass open on that female's cage, I mean, she hits that thing like a linebacker, just, wraps it up or whatever. But the male, he'll, I'll put a mouse in front of it, and like you know, he'll slowly go over to it, and he'll get right up to it, and then if I move too much, he'll pull away from it or whatever. And then, like, once he, I guess, evaluates that there's no threat to his safety, he'll grab a hold of it and wrap it up. But
that's not like the ones I have from you, man. The male, they're both absolute nutcases for food now. Like when I first got them, the male was a nutcase from the get-go for food, but the female was finicky. But now they both, man, as soon as they see food, it's game over. Like, and they're always looking for it, man. They're such active snakes. I honestly need to feed them more. They're getting big. I need to upgrade their enclosures for one, but they're, God, dude, they would eat any chance I gave them, dude. They're nuts.
Yeah, they slam food. That's what they're a bit of a pain in the ass, or at least mine are a bit of a pain in the ass to get started out of the egg. But once you get them eating, especially once you get them eating off of tongs, once they'll take food off of tongs, you feed them whatever, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. Like once that female started, it was all good. And they've grown a ton, man. Like I think I sent you pictures of that male the other day, or a video I posted of it. He is like, he's the bluest green Barons you'll see, man.
I'm pretty sure the mom has blue lineage in her, but without I got her off of some jabroni.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some jabroni online.
Yours throw like these bluish greens, man. Like the male is this really weird teal color, like he's not a blue, but God damn.
The mom is like seafoam mint green. Like she's
yeah.
She's got blue along with all the black that she has. But like I said, there ain't no telling what kind of lineage she has just because the guy that I got her from was a flipper or whatever.
Yeah.
So but I'm assuming she has blue in her lineage, and then the male, he's got that Mountain Dew look to him, and he came from shit.
Do the do.
I forgot his name, but he came from a guy like his that one came from just a green lineage or whatever. So, but like they said they get that the Mountain Dew looking babies, and then those weirdish bluish looking babies.
Yeah.
Like the whole back that I've got that I've been growing up, it's got that Mountain Dew look with a bold black stripe going down its back that's starting to spread out, like that one Skylar got from me.
Yeah, my female like has a ton of black on her. She's got that more, like you're saying, that yellowy green Mountain Dew color to her, but her belly is fucking black, like super dark.
It's the same way the mom's belly is all black.
Yeah.
So I need to. Some point I got to figure. At some point I got to send my female to Skyler to go with that super black, that male that has a bunch of black with his. I got to make that. We got to make that happen next year.
Yeah, you do.
That'd be so...
Ruh-roh. Now Jake's the problem.
Oh.
Wait, we hear you.
Marco.
Polo.
All right, we're
There
good.
you go. We can hear you. Your video's just struggling.
Oh. That's weird.
That is weird.
Normally I'm not the problem. Yeah, I got y'all blacked out for a second. I don't know what's going on with
It's
that.
all the Budritas.
That's on his part. I'm drinking fucking vodka over here. Shit.
I got nothing.
Pussy.
Yeah, because you a bitch.
See, that's one thing. That's one thing Keller knows about me. We pull up to Daytona. It'll be 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He's like, "You want a beer?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, brother!" I'll drink.
The liver is evil and it deserves to be punished.
That's right. That's right.
Are you going to Daytona this year?
And it's right. I've already reserved my room and everything, assuming no major life-changing events happen between now and then. I'll be there.
Keller isn't allowed to miss a Daytona.
No one's allowed to miss a Daytona.
Except KP, apparently.
Yeah, little bitch.
I'm so pissed. Motherfucker.
Ooh, my kid.
I have a feeling he will. There's a chance he'll still go, but
nah, he's been pretty hard set on not going. So
Andy Serves little bitch ass too. He wants to talk all that shit, but he ain't gonna show
yeah,
up.
that was my. Is he not going anymore?
I don't know.
He said last I heard that I've got a wedding to go to. Like, okay, you
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because he was talking all that about coming, and I was stoked. And now he's saying he ain't going, and I'm like, you motherfucker.
Some bullshit.
Yeah, Daytona is a must go every year. I won't miss it, man. I don't hell or high water. I missed 1 year, and it was the 1 year Smitty got fucked up, and I'm pissed. I'm freaking pissed. I missed that.
I think that was probably the last time I got like really drunk.
Yeah, well, you need to step on the wild side.
I don't enjoy it. Like it's fun for like an hour.
I don't enjoy it.
And then after that, I don't
enjoy it. I'm not straight.
It's not fun. I am.
Next thing, Tony, pull up your chair beside me and let's go meet God.
That's right. I feel like every year I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna get that fucked up this year.
Oh, you say that every year, and then the first night you
feel
go
like
fucking hard in the paint, dude.
I feel like last year I was pretty contained for the most part. Like I didn't get stupid last year. The year before that, I got real dumb. I ain't gonna lie.
It's just you gotta like fucking pace yourself. It's like we get there
don't
Friday
pace
night
yourself.
and Jake's like
Ain't
balls
no-
to the wall
Ain't
first
no,
night.
ain't no pacing, man. That's the thing. Like,
Maybe it's because I'm getting old.
I don't do anything happy.
Bitch, I'm 12 years older than you are.
Yeah, Smitty, get it together. Come on now.
This is a 34-year-old vessel, but I'm an 80-year-old man in this body.
Brandon said, "The fuck you mean? You lost your voice in front of everyone." In my defense, I lose my voice every year, and that's because I start talking very loudly.
That's how I measure your level of drunk. I hope you know
because
that.
he's getting his throat scratched by some man meat.
No, that's because it's so loud out there. I'm yelling to talk to people, and I lose my voice very easily.
That's how I measure your level of drunkenness is the volume.
No,
it's a pretty good indicator, dude. I've been there multiple times.
But I think that's mostly because of the crowd. That's not because I'm drunk. I
think it's the alcohol.
I've been much more intoxicated in scenarios that aren't nearly as loud.
Why don't you just take your phone in next to the fridge, Keller? Just park it right next to the.
He's only gone for a couple seconds. He'd be all right.
Just saying, you save yourself a trip. Just set up shop right there next to the damn.
There was I did one episode with a cooler beside me because I wasn't drinking liquor. I was drinking beers. I kept the cooler right there. But
but if I did that, one of these fucking dogs would be trying to get into it.
Yeah. But now I lose my voice at Daytona every year, like hammered or not. So that just happens.
What you looking to pick up at Daytona this year?
Me, nothing.
You lying sack of shit.
Right.
No, dude.
Okay.
No, I actually I
stopped telling myself that lie a long time ago.
No, I'm actually granted, with a couple things, making exceptions if I see them, maybe, but the last few years I've come home with something stupid like 15 to 17 snakes or some shit. I think I came up with 17 snakes last year. And I'm not doing that again, man. I'm pretty tapped out. I'm really happy with my collection. If I found some locality boas that I could actually afford, that would probably be the only thing. But I'm pretty content with where I'm at, and I'm pretty maxed out on space over here. So I'm really not trying to. No, dude, you'll see. If I come home with anything, it'll be a pair. It'll be 2 to 4 snakes max, if anything.
How about you, Smitty? You got anything on your radar?
Nothing really in particular. I wouldn't mind getting another Metallica.
Smitty's gonna go spider for sure.
Dude, it's hard not to. They take up so little space.
Yeah.
Spiders are cool. You need to go get you a tarantula, Jake. Stop being a pussy.
Nah, I'm good. I know nothing about tarantulas, and I don't really care to. So,
well, let me give you a pro tip. You get a Stromatopelma, and then you handle it as often as you can.
Yeah. That sounds like a disaster, and I don't even know what that is.
I haven't seen mine since I upgraded it into that new fucking cage.
Speaking of cages, that was something I wanted to ask you, Keller. Being somebody that keeps such an eclectic collection, are you more of a cage keeper or a rat keeper?
Both.
Or a little bit of both?
Both.
Yeah.
Every day of my life is a gigantic headache.
Yeah, I could see that.
Do you have separate rooms for the desert stuff and then everything else that's not?
Keller's got at least 3 rooms full.
Oh no! Every room in this house has snakes in it, with the exception of the bathroom and the kitchen. The desert room, the quote unquote desert room. Everything that is in there, except the rotostoma, is in there just because they don't have. I can't I don't keeping them in the desert room. They don't need any extra heat, and having a big enough water bowl in their cage keeps them elevated humidity.
Mm-hmm.
But in the desert room, that's where the Cerastes are, the Ruber is, the Sammophis is, the false cobras, the collared lizards. I think the Florida. I think the Florida. There's a pair of Florida Kings in there too, just because whatever. They're Florida Kings.
Yeah, they don't care.
The Panamint, Jake's rattlesnake, is in there. What else is in there? There's something else in there that I can't remember. And then the main snake room is the majority of the colubrids and the temperate stuff. All that is in there, whatever. My bedroom that's where my jungle jag carpet python is, and the leucistic Texas rat snakes. The bedroom behind this room right here is where the Asian rat snakes are. There's a California king snake in there because whatever. The tarantulas are in there. Jesus's ball python is in there.
Jesus's ball python.
Yeah, there's
Creek has a ball python. You can bond.
There's a ball python in there that's well into his 20s, maybe even 30.
Dude, I need somebody that wants a normal ball python for funsies.
There's the plain the Radix garter snake is in there. The gargoyle geckos are
he's
there.
really struggling.
Trying to remember what that, but like all there, the stuff that needs a little bit more humidity and a little bit cooler weather, that's all in that room, and that's what I said. That's where the tarantulas are.
Is that where you sleep?
No. My bedroom has a carpet python and 2 Texas rat snakes.
Okay.
So,
what makes them so special?
They're going to get moved at some point. I've just been too lazy to do it.
That was just space, like somewhere to put them. Like they're going in the bedroom.
My living room is where the Euromastics are, and the
Euromastics are fun.
The Candoya Carinata, the Indonesian tree boa, Salamalinite tree boas or whatever. They're in there. That's where the Desert Hairy Scorpion is sitting out in the living room right now. I may move it though because it doesn't seem like it's enjoying it all that much. And then the downstairs den area, that's where the Clownagamas, the Gilas, and one of the Serbs is.
So you just threw me off. You said the downstairs area. I always pictured you as a single wide trailer type of guy. So
this is a split level house, bro. Split level.
That's cool, man. I've been wanting to come out to you one of these days and see your collection. I don't know if I trust you to spend the night at your place.
I wouldn't. And not to mention the fact that one of my dogs will tear your ass up.
Oh, fuck that. See, like, it's so funny. People make fun of me because, like, I'm okay with snakes. Like, I've jumped on alligators, like, whole nine. But if there's a dog in the vicinity that even might fuck me up, I'm the first one in the truck, boy. I am scared of dogs, like, through and through.
That little piece of shit, raggedy white-haired dog that I have. I've posted pictures of him, the long-haired, I call him a dirty mop with legs.
Yeah.
He'll bite that ass.
Yeah, dude. I can't deal with that. I don't do dogs. I'm afraid of dogs through and through. You can ask my boss. We were walking a job site one day, and the neighbor people who had just finished their house and just moved in, they had a German Shepherd, and we were walking around the side of this house. This German Shepherd popped up at the other property, and I froze, dude. I was like, oh no. Like I can't with dogs, man. I cannot. Don't matter how big they are. It's like that's the thing. I'm not afraid of dogs. I have a dog. I love dogs. But if I don't know the dog, we gonna have problems.
I ain't gonna. He's this little 35-pound piece of shit. He's bitten me a few times. He bit my ex-wife. He bit my stepdaughter. He's my stepdaughter or my stepson. I can't remember. He bit one of them. He bit my stepdaughter's fiance. He bit my friend Sean like 5 times.
Sure, he's not rabid.
He's a special case.
You need to get that looked at.
Yeah, that's...
I had when he gets when I had to have him because he would let my ex-wife pick him up, move him around, and stuff like that. But he won't let me do it. He still won't let me do it. Like when I got to do shit with him now, I got to tie his mouth shut. But
Jesus.
last year when I had
would
to
you
get him,
let you do stuff to you?
No. But when I had to get him groomed last year because he's a wire-haired terrier. You know, he's a rescue. He came from a bad place, and we had to have him they had to sedate him so they could groom him.
Jesus,
he's a headache. You know, it's one of the headaches that I got left with when I got divorced. You know,
I was about to say the ex took the blue beauty,
yes,
but didn't take the piece of shit dog.
Took the blue beauty and left me with a raggedy little piece of shit dog. Even though I love him to death, but he's a fucking pile of shit. He's sitting here laying at my feet right now, listening to me talk shit about him, and he ain't even paying no attention.
Because he knows it's all true. He's like, whatever, I ain't even gonna deny it. He's like, I bitched you and I'll do it again.
Sounds like Smitty.
Yep.
God damn it.
So when you were keeping elapids, like what were you keeping mostly, and then at what point were you like, I'm done with these?
I had
when you had to have your back surgery and get your hip replaced.
I had 6 cobras at one point. I had a pair of albino monocles. I had a pair of
of course you had albino monocles.
I had a pair of banded snouted cobras, and well, they weren't a pair. I had 2 female Moroccan cobras, and when I moved in when I moved in with my now ex-wife, I sold the albino monocles because I was just trying to, she didn't want as much of the venomous shit that was here or whatever. I had the banded snouted cobras. I bred them. And, I bred them one time, and then after a while, I was just like, yeah, I'm tired of feeding y'all. Y'all eat all the time. You shit all the time. A cobra is. I haven't kept dry marcon, but I'm assuming it's close to the same experience. You feed them.
What it sounds like from Phil.
You feed them. A day or two later, they shit all over the place, and then when you take them out to clean them, they shit all over the place again. You feed them once, they shit 3 times or whatever, stuff like that. So I got tired of feeding them. And when I did breed them, it was a pain in the ass getting rid of fucking babies. Outside of the fact that I don't remember how many eggs they laid and how many all but one of the eggs hatched. And it was a good sized clutch. I think it was like 16 or 17 or 18 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them wanted to start off on rodents. And at the same time, the place that I got, the the reptile store where I was going had closed down, so finding live feeders was a problem. And I sat there on numerous occasions and force fed baby cobras, like
Worms, yeah.
that long.
Fuck
That's
that.
not a very fun prospect or whatever. And then after you have force fed those things for a few times, like, hey, I risk dying to get this thing to where I feel comfortable selling it to you. And now you're trying to sit here and haggle me for the price and time that I spent, and crap like that. So like, I bred them the one time that I kept, I didn't bother breeding them again because of that experience. And then, like I said, when I moved
And that was
in,
bandits?
yeah, banded
That's
Egyptians.
surprising. I would have thought bandits would have been
Not,
easy to
6 or 7 years ago, they were all over the place.
No.
That banded Egyptian cobras or banded snaps, whatever you want to call it, were one of those snakes that 10, 15 years ago were a dime a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
Can't find them no more now. And I was in that in-between phase, like right after they were,
right on the other side of that bubble.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they were right there. It's like, oh, well, I used to buy these for, $75, $50, $75 a piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right after that period of time, in that transitional period of time, like, well, you don't find them no more or whatever. But it's like, I had a hard time selling, so, and then, like I said, my, now ex-wife, when she didn't want me, bringing a whole bunch of crap, especially, cobras or whatever, to where we live now. So I had those for, a year or two while I lived over here. And like I said, it just got to be one of those things where, like, I'm feeding y'all all the time. You're shitting all the time. And they weren't bad to handle. They weren't bad at all. Especially with the female, she could have been a problem. But the male, he didn't really care, but he was 7 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
So like, he's pounding, medium rats. Medium rats, but he needed to eat a medium rat every other week. I'd throw him a bunch of bullshit in between weeks or whatever, so I could feed him a medium rat every other week, but throw him some bullshit or whatever, But like I said, I wound up selling them, and then I just had the Moroccans, and it turned out to be having what my quote unquote male Moroccan that I traded a couple of I traded a pair of baby jumping vipers that I'd bred off for. Traded them to old Joe. Old Joe S. He just before I knew about old Joe or whatever. And but like somebody had gotten in touch with him and was like, hey, this guy just bred, jumping vipers and whatever. And like, he's got a female Moroccan cobra, and all of a sudden Joe sprung up with a male Moroccan cobra.
Magic.
Yeah, exactly. So I, I'd heard the name, but I didn't hear any of the negative stories around him. But so he got in touch with me and he's like, hey, I've got baby Moroccan cobras, and it's like, I've got, you want to trade some, do you want to trade me some jumping vipers? I got this male Moroccan. Oh yeah, dude, yeah, I'll make that trade, yeah, all day, every day, or whatever, So then I got this, male Moroccan cobra, which I don't know if you've ever seen a baby male Moroccan cobra, but that's one of the coolest looking snakes because, like, they're like from like their head to like a few inches down their neck is jet black, but then their body is like wheat yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they age, it turns into that
kind of like capes.
Yeah. Like as they age, they turn all black.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. And so I had and that those are my favorite cobras, Moroccan cobras. Ain't nothing cooler than a black cobra. all black cobra or whatever. So I had, so then I got that one or whatever, and I grew that thing up for like 3 years. And then I finally tossed it in with the female that I'd had. And I'd see they wrap tails and they do the whole thing. Like, oh yeah, they're breeding. Never get eggs. Okay, maybe what I do, whatever. So I did it again the next year. But same thing. They were wrapping tails, doing all that crap or whatever, never get eggs. So like the year after that, so that would have been like 2016 or no, that would have been. I can't remember. Anyway, at some point in time,
you can do it, buddy.
I'm trying to remember when, like the couple of years that I tried to get them to breed, and then both times never got any eggs out of them. So finally, Blake came down here one day, and I was like, "Hey, it's like while you're down here, let's tube these things and probe them." Because like I'm, they're breed, I'm getting them to breed, but I'm not getting eggs. I was like, let's, see if I'm doing something wrong. So, we came down there and we tubed them and we probed them. They both turned out to be female. Like, okay, well,
that explains a lot.
Yeah. And then, so like the year after that, Blake had finally, Blake tracked down somebody that had a male.
Like a real male?
Do what now?
Like a real male?
Yeah, it was a real male. And I paired, so I brought that male home and I paired them up. And actually, Blake had tracked down 2 people that had males. I sent one of my females to Blake. Somebody sent him a male, and then I got this other male and I paired it up with my other female, and they bred. Still didn't get no eggs. The only thing I could assume is that just what I was doing here. Like you can either cooling stuff here. You can either go out in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
You go out in the garage, you might hit 40 degrees. I'll run it like because you go out in the garage. A couple, I got I got a couple of space heaters that I'll put out in the garage because it might be, when it gets cold, it gets real cold or whatever. Or inside the house, you might be, I can get you down to about 60, 65. And that's where I was trying to cool them at, was about 60 to 65, and that wasn't working. I was like, I think they'd do better if I can get them in that 50 to 55 degree range, but there ain't nowhere inside my house that I can get them there. And I can't throw them in the garage because that's going to be 40 to 45. So I tried that for a year or two and it wouldn't work. And finally and then about the same time that, well, not the same, basically, when the whole divorce proceedings and all that shit came on, I was like, yeah, I ain't got time to deal with this. I'm not in the mindset to be dealing with these fucking dangerous ass fucking snakes anymore.
Get out of my house, yeah.
So I was like, hey, send these over to, take my 2 females and send them back to the guy that this male came from and see if he can't get any success out of them. And so far, he hadn't had any success that I'm aware of neither.
It's a bad day to be a bud reader. God damn.
And that, with the exception of red spitters, I love red spitters. They call my name all the time, but so far I've got enough common sense to be like, hey, I don't want that hassle. Now, if
really load up on your joint medication if you're going to do those.
If some of the cooler Australian Elapids ever make their way over here, like, I'll burn your house down, Justin, for some Australian copperheads.
I'd prefer you didn't.
If they ever come over here and they tell me that's the price, that's what's happening. But I don't think they're ever going to be over here because I don't think anybody else but me gives a shit about them. Red-bellied black snakes.
You keep dreaming, buddy.
But like I said, other than that, like I said, Red spitters, they call to me. They're always going to call to me, but I just don't want to deal with spitters anymore because I've screwed around with some spitters before, and it's like, here's this next extra step that I have to take because you're a venomous snake.
Another thing I have to deal with. Yeah.
That spits in my eyes.
Another level of bullshit.
You need death adders, man.
I've babysat some before. They do their thing. They do their thing, and they do their thing, and after you see them do it like 3 or 4 times, it's like, okay, this is what you're gonna do.
I love death adders, man. Like
they're cool. I like them because of their natural history, the fact that they're an elapid that de-evolved, or not de-evolved, that went to fill that niche of a pit viper, but it's like that's another one of those things. It's like, yeah, they're cool, and there's some really pretty ones. Those Dejarin death adders are really pretty, and like apparently, from what my understanding and pictures I've seen, everything that we have over here in the States looks like absolute trash compared to the throwaways in Australia. But it's like, if you keep some and you breed them, here you are with a snake that's a baby snake that's this fucking big that, doesn't want to eat anything you're fixing to offer it. So you're going to pin it down and force feed it. And, what is that? Like the number 5 or number 6 deadliest snake on the planet?
That's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I guess like, I never really want to breed venomous, but there's definitely a handful that I want. I think the only elapid I ever have a desire to have would be a death adder. And then like, I would never even dream of breeding it. I would just have like one for funsies. And yeah. They're just so pretty, man. They're so cool.
Yeah, they're cool. I like them. I like those KEI islands that Fascination Herb gets in. It's the ones that are kind of look like that stonewash color.
Yeah.
Oh, Jake, is it bedtime?
Yeah, I've been up since 5:30 this morning, so I'm getting tired.
I've been up since 4:30, so suck it up, bitch.
Well, I don't want to hear it from you, motherfucker. I do this shit every week. All right. God damn it.
All y'all are bitches.
I also haven't really slept since the weekend because last weekend me and Gabe went up to Jack's neck of the woods. And Friday night / Saturday morning, I think me and Gabe got like 2 hours of sleep between going to bed super late Friday and not sleeping
each other off.
Pretty much. And then waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning to head to Jack's house. Shoo. It's been rough. And then I haven't got like a proper night's sleep since. So tired.
It was like a week ago.
Yeah, and I came back Sunday, didn't sleep for shit Saturday night into Sunday morning.
And how old are you?
Well, why'd you do that?
And how old are you?
It doesn't matter how old I am.
You're less than 30, you little peckerhead.
I'm 29.
Ooh, God,
so,
I remember my first beer.
Yeah. No, like... Look, it's just been a long week. I can deal with like a day or two of like very little sleep, but so far it's been like several days of it because I have to wake up also very early. No, it's not 4:30, Keller, but goddamn, 5:30 is early enough. So,
and then Justin's over here is fucking 8 to 5, fucking
9 to 5.
9 to 5. That motherfucker ain't got to clock in until 9 o'clock in the morning. I got to hit
5 air conditioning. I'm just pushing fucking computer keys, being a little hoe ass motherfucker.
That's right. I got to punch the clock at 6:30 in the morning.
That's when I wake up. Okay. Some of us have real problems.
Yeah, that's when you wake up is when I have to hit the clock. Okay.
And when you wake up, I've already been on the clock for fucking 45 minutes.
He's already been on the cock for 45 minutes.
Yeah,
damn.
So, Justin, when are you going to put some pants on in that house and let your old lady let you keep a venomous snake?
Your guess is as good as mine, buddy.
Never.
Like this pygmy. Hang on.
Justin only owns shorts.
God damn it.
That thing is so nice.
Hopefully I can catch some more tomorrow. If y'all's weather ain't too fucked.
What's up with tomorrow, Keller? Will you go come to the house before you go to Blake's? What's up?
What time do you say? You said you get off when?
3:00.
What time do you get home?
3:00. I live 2 minutes from my work.
I'll be there around 3:00 then.
Come on.
Since Justin can't talk his way out of work.
Nah, I got
No,
you.
I tried to get it to take a half day, man, but I already had someone else leaving early, so.
Sounds to me like you got the flu, you little pansy.
Ain't feeling too well. At around 11:30. Yeah, I'll text you. I'll send you my address. You can come by the house around 3. I'll be here.
Naked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show up naked.
That's the way I prefer it.
We're gonna play with some Jana and Pina.
I was about to say Jake Eye in that case.
Well, on that note, this has been episode 222. If anyone wants to get in touch with Keller, which I don't know why the fuck he would,
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I would.
How do people do that?
My only social media is Instagram.
OnlyFans.
Look me up on OnlyFans. It's Pit Vipers and Penis. Colubrids and Cock.
Right.
Pit Savage and Dick. Or you
I was sure that we'd have to hunt you down on MySpace or something.
but outside of that, it's what is my Instagram handle?
Was it King Baboon 1?
King Baboon 1936.
It's either King Baboon _1 or King _Baboon 1.
I think it's King _Baboon 1. If I remember.
He's so
correctly.
old he doesn't even know his own Instagram account.
No.
I don't know my password on my Instagram account. It's on my phone. That's why he had to send it to me.
Jesus Christ. I sent him the link. He's like, you got to email it to me. I'm like, okay, Grandpa.
God damn it.
This episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Find them on Facebook. Find them on Instagram. Got any questions? Hit them up. Use the code THN25 at checkout. Save some money. And then hop on over to FullViewsApparel.com. Spring sale is going on until tomorrow night. 15% off automatically. Hats, shirts, the works. Grab it. Get it while it's hot. And then Steve Snaketuary.
Shirt.
What?
When you gonna make an Ekis shirt?
When they're cool.
That snake is the coolest snake in this house.
Have you seen ball pythons?
I've got 4 of them.
How many Ekis do you have?
Just one.
I rest my case.
People aren't clamoring to give away Ekis like they are ball pythons.
Well,
damn it.
Steve Snaketuary, the Venom Hot Sauce, get the whole lineup. SteveSnaketuary.com. Help him out. He's doing a lot of good stuff. And we'll be back Monday for Snakes and Stogies, which Keller would never come on because it's too late. The street lights are on, and I've already taken my Metamucil at that point.
Y'all want to start at 9 o'clock? No, the motherfucker has to wake up in 5 hours.
Yeah, 9 o'clock's kind of late. I'm kind of with Keller on that one.
Look, if Saturday Night Live and late night shows can make it happen.
What was the key word in Saturday Night Live?
Saturday night.
Yeah. What do most people not do Sunday morning?
Go to church.
Or go to work.
That's right.
Excuses.
Yeah, Harry makes a good point. He said y'all started early for Chaz.
No, we didn't.
Apparently, I'm not cool enough.
Nope.
So
even though I've been listening to y'all since like almost the beginning.
To be fair, tonight, I want you to know, Keller, this was all my idea.
I'm well aware because Justin's a hoe.
I was like, can we unleash the Kellering this Thursday? Like,
Keller's talking trash because I can't get venomous. Help.
That is semi-true for sure.
Come
and
on.
then the other one time we were supposed to have him on, you bailed last minute.
Yeah, because he's a hoe.
No, that was different. Keller said that I have to put on pants.
What?
I'm wearing shorts. What are you doing?
I think we're all wearing shorts.
I don't. We're signing off. Keller's his body's rejecting the Metamucil.
Tell your wife I said what's up.
Keller said, "What's up?" He said, "Let Justin get a Panesius." You don't even know what that is.
She doesn't even know what it is, but she
what if it's a kind of fish?
If Keller,
because any addition, I'm gonna say no.
There you go.
Including tortoises.
Yeah, I've given up on I've given up on all my dreams.
Motherfucker can't have a tortoise. You think he's gonna get venomous?
Yeah.
No.
Stop.
All right.
If you throw a 1-2 combination at her, she might change her mind.
With all kinds of snacks in it and tarantulas.
Like
I'm gonna tell your wife I'm gonna breed some tarantulas and send all the babies your way because you said it was okay.
There you
go. I don't know
what.
What?
What did he say?
All right, everyone, have a good evening.
Good night.
You can't.
What did he say?
He didn't say nothing.
What did he say?
I'm gonna breed some tarantulas and send all the babies to Justin because he said it was okay.
I don't recall saying anything
Keller,
like that.
If you do that shit, you can go fuck yourself.
I plan on it.
That's happening regardless.
Yeah, I don't need your permission for that.
Then I hope you get a yeast infection from fapping it too much.
That's already happened. You can't catch it twice.
Yes, you can.
Oh my God. We need to end this podcast. Good night, everybody.
Oh my God, are you live?
Yes.
Yeah, oh my God, are you live? I can control. I'm ending this. Good night.
Keller,